Are you currently working with a financial advisor or thinking about hiring one soon? Here are a few questions that you should ask to ensure you are truly working with the best advisor for your specific situation. Hi, my name is Vasily Zois, and I am a fiduciary advisor with over a decade of experience helping people optimize their investments, taxes, insurance, and overall financial plan. The financial services industry can be complicated and intimidating for many individuals. Most people either choose to avoid it completely and try to handle all of their financial affairs themselves, or work with an advisor who they were referred to by a friend or a relative. Now, this is a great place to start, but it's important to do your own research and pick someone who has the experience, the knowledge, the credentials, and the ability to truly help you with your specific goals and needs, and will always have your best interest in mind. Now, the first question you should ask your advisor is, are you a fiduciary? Not all financial professionals are the same. The services or advice they're able to recommend or implement typically depend on which licenses, designations, experience, and or firm they are employed with. Also, not all advisors follow the fiduciary standard. An advisor who is held to the fiduciary standard means they are legally required to put your best interest first, above their own, above their firm's, above everything else. Think about it like this. They have to act the way a doctor or a lawyer would: objective, transparent, and fully focused on what benefits you. This means no picking products or investments because they give bigger commissions, or hiding, burying the fees in the fine print. So, this is the highest level of care. Now, the other standard is the suitability standard, and it's a little bit looser. Advisors who follow this rule only have to recommend something that is suitable for you, meaning it can't be wildly inappropriate, but it doesn't have to be the best or the cheapest option either. So, a particular investment, strategy, or product may fit your general situation, but it might also come with a higher fee or earn the advisor a bigger commission. And that's allowed, as long as it's technically suitable. So, here's the bottom line: the fiduciary standard equals your best interest, the suitability standard equals good enough. Now, neither standard is bad, but knowing the difference helps you understand how your advisor is required to serve you and what kinds of incentives might be influencing their recommendations. Now, the second question you should ask your advisor is, what licenses, designations, and credentials do you hold? This is an important question to ask because it will tell you what they are actually qualified to help you with. Not all advisors have the same training, legal permissions, or capabilities. Some can manage investments, some can only sell insurance products, some specialize in planning, some can actually give tax advice, and some can do all of the above. Series licenses, like the Series 65 and Series 7 issued by FINRA, allow advisors to manage investments. Insurance licenses issued by individual states allow advisors to sell insurance products like health and life insurance and annuities. Now, regarding taxes, credentials like CPAs and enrolled agents are able to provide tax advice and assist with tax preparation, filing, and representation before the IRS. Other than licenses, some advisors hold professional designations as well. They aren't a must, but they show that an advisor values education and becoming more of an expert in a particular area of planning. Knowing their credentials helps you understand their expertise, the type of advice they're allowed to give, and whether they're the right fit for your financial goals. It's basically like checking a contractor's certifications before you let them remodel your house. You just want to make sure that they're properly equipped for the job. The third question you should ask your advisor is, how are you compensated? Asking this question will help you understand where their incentives come from. Some advisors earn commissions when they sell certain products, others charge a flat fee, and some take a percentage of the money they manage for you. None of these models are automatically good or bad, but knowing how they get paid helps you spot any potential conflicts of interests and make sure their advice lines up with your best interests, not just their paycheck. It's basically just being a smart consumer about your own money. The fourth question you should ask your advisor is, what type of clients do you typically work with? It's important to work with someone who has experience dealing with clients in a similar situation to yours. As an example, if you're a corporate professional who has stock options or grants as part of your compensation package, you want to make sure your advisor understands how these work and how to incorporate them in your financial plan to avoid potentially costly mistakes. Or if you're a real estate investor, you want to make sure you work with a tax professional who has experience with dealing with real estate accounting and taxes, not just someone who works on basic tax returns. The fifth question you should ask your advisor is, which custodian or brokerage are your accounts or investments held at? If you're working with an advisor who will be managing and overseeing your investment accounts, make sure to ask them which custodian your accounts and assets will be held at. A custodian or brokerage is a third party financial institution that is responsible for holding stocks, bonds, and other assets to safeguard them from being stolen or lost. Think Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, or Altruist. This firm is where your investments are actually held and is responsible for sending your statements and handling the behind the scenes transactions like trading, deposits and withdrawals, and fee billing. Different custodians offer different levels of transparency, technologies, fees, trading capabilities, and security. So, knowing who your advisor partners with helps you understand where your money truly lives, how easy it is to access your accounts, and how well your assets are protected. It's basically like knowing which bank your paycheck is going into. Just want to make sure it's a place that you trust. The sixth question you should ask your advisor is, how will my investments be managed? Advisors can use very different approaches to managing your investments. This may depend on their licenses, the firm they are employed with, or by the custodian that they use to trade the investments, or their own personal experience, discretion, or investment style. Some advisors actively pick investments using low cost index funds and ETFs, and others outsource the whole process to a third party money manager. Knowing your advisor's process lets you see whether their style matches your goals, your risk tolerance, and what you're comfortable with. It helps you understand what you're paying for and what to expect over time. Basically, you just want to make sure that their approach makes sense for you before handing over your investment portfolio. The seventh question you should ask your advisor is, are you able to give tax or insurance advice, or do you only handle the investments? Surprisingly, not all advisors are qualified to give tax advice, and giving advice without the right credentials can lead to mistakes or even penalties. Knowing this upfront helps you understand what decisions you can rely on them for and when you might need to consult a CPA, enrolled agent, or other tax professional. I've heard stories of individuals who would get conflicting advice from their financial advisor and their tax advisor because each advisor has a different perspective of the client's finances. In my personal opinion, investments, financial planning, and taxes all go hand in hand, which is why I became an enrolled agent so that I can legally give tax advice to my clients, assist them with preparing and filing their returns, and help represent them in front of the IRS in case any issues were to arise in the future. The eighth question you should ask your advisor is, have you ever been publicly disciplined or had any client complaints? Now, let's be fair, everyone makes mistakes, but patterns of misconduct or repeated complaints can definitely be a red flag. Typically, you can look up an investment professional and or firm through the Brokercheck webpage, which could be found either on the FINRA or SEC's website. Checking this helps you feel confident that your advisor is trustworthy, ethical, and someone you can rely on with your money. The ninth question you should ask your advisor is, how do you communicate with your clients and how often? Everyone has different communication preferences, so it's important to know how and when your advisor will be communicating with you. If you have any questions, are you easily able to get a hold of them, or do you have to wait through a long automated system or talk with a receptionist first? Some advisors prefer all of their communication through email, others face to face, and with modern technology, many advisors can now even text. Now, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just important to work with someone who is able to communicate efficiently and effectively when it comes to getting answers to your important questions about your personal finances. Now, the last question you should ask your advisor isn't necessarily just one question, but while interviewing them, feel free to ask them some personal questions to get to know them a little bit better as well. You will probably be working with this individual or their team for years or decades to come. So it's important that you like each other and can relate on other things outside of just business. I know personally, I have become quite close with many of my clients, and most of our meetings are spent catching up on their travels, family, and hobbies. It's definitely important to make sure that they have the experience and are qualified to assist you, but if you can't connect to them on a personal level, then your meetings may feel uncomfortable or like a chore, rather than feeling excited about achieving your financial goals and needs. Hopefully this video helps you in your search for a qualified financial advisor. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel to learn more investment, planning, tax, and insurance insights. If you have any questions or would like to learn about my answers to these questions, there is a link in the description of this video where you can schedule a time to talk to me directly for a free, no obligation meeting. Thanks for watching.